Oakland A's UK, Oakland A's UK, the Oakland A's UK, the Oakland A's UK. Okay, hello and welcome to our A's UK live stream. Hopefully this is actually working. I've had a few technical issues today. This evening trying to get things to work. My web browser seems to have gone down for some reason, but anyway, hopefully someone out there can hear me, and yeah, hopefully we are actually doing something. So I decided to come on here today. I'm Matt, part of the A's UK crew, alongside Hannah and Dom, and yeah, so this evening here in the UK we've got general election going along, so everyone's been voting. Voting closes at 10 this evening, so in an hour and 3/4. Probably not going to work out well for any of us, but there we go. So I thought I'd have a little look at baseball instead. And of course, there's been plenty to concentrate on because winter meetings. And unlike last year, lots has happened this time. The Scott Boras clients have been signing up rather than waiting until after the new year. So nothing much, in a sense, happening for the A's, unfortunately. Just get rid of that moment. But fingers crossed that there may be some good news for A's fans at some point over the off-season with a few additions, although we'll get to that in a moment as to kind of what sort of caliber of an addition they're likely to get. So I should be able to pick up comments on Periscope, if you're on Periscope. In theory, I should also be streaming live to YouTube, but that doesn't seem to be working brilliantly well, so we'll see. But anyway, let's get on to the main news. Let's start off with one of the two big signings of the winter meeting so far. So yeah, Cole to the Yankees. Not good news for any of us. I know some A's fans could see it from the point of view of, well, at least he's out of the AL West, but in all honesty, we only faced him twice last year. You are kind of in a situation where you're going to have to face them with the Yankees anyway. And when you look at the Yankees, they do look a bit formidable, don't they? When you kind of consider the fact that they've got a great offense, very good bullpen, the real weakness last year was in their starting rotation. So bringing Garrett Cole in, making him at the top of that lineup, really does kind of set them up. And that's a concern for us because they're a rival, and you'd have to say, I don't know, what do you think? But you'd have to say that they're kind of the favourite, I would say, pretty much for the American League pennant. And it does affect the Astros. There's no getting away from that. Although I always kind of thought that the Zach Greinke signing was as much preparing for Cole's departure as anything else. Because it was kind of a luxury having Verlander, Cole, and Greinke last year. Weren't quite able to get over the line with the World Series, but they've kind of replaced Cole with Greinke, and now Cole goes to the Yankees. So let's have a look at the details. 9 years, ridiculous to give a pitcher 9-year contract, but that's what the Yankees have had to do to get him. 9-year contract, $324 million, so basically $36 million a year, which is more than a third of the A's payroll for pretty much their entire roster. So that kind of shows you the sort of competition we've got to try and face and take on. It's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do from there. It sounds like they're trying to shop J.A. Happ. He's owed quite a lot of money. I think he's owed about $17 million for 2020 season. So you'd expect they'll try and move him away. They'll have to eat some of that money, I suspect. But that's going to be interesting to see who goes after him as a lefty. But Cole gets into that rotation, top of the rotation. Masahiro Tanaka, arguably now their fourth starter. That's pretty dominating, isn't it? So Cole, not with the Astros. So the Astros don't get Cole. They get a lump of coal because that's all they deserve this Christmas. But the Yankees get him instead. So he's still in the American League and he's still going to be against one of our competitors. So not good news. And of course, it led on to the next bit of news. And that bit of news is Anthony Rendon going to the Angels. Now, that was in part set up by the Strasburg signing because Strasburg signed his deal with the Nationals. What was that? 7 years, 245 million. Blimey. When that happened, it basically took the Nationals out of Rendon's running. And when the Yankees beat the Angels to Cole, then it looked pretty likely that the Angels would go after Rendon, and that's exactly what happened. Now, the first question I guess you'd ask about Rendon is, can he pitch? Because that's their big weakness for the Angels. I know they've brought in Dylan Bundy, but that's not a lot, not a lot of flashiness to that. So, I don't know. They're talking about Kluber, they're talking about Carrasco, maybe as a trade target. But there's no question that they've added a real quality player in Anthony Rendon, the Angels. But is he really what they needed? And we see it every year, frankly. Every offseason, the Angels go out and spend some money. You knew they'd do it this year in particular with Joe Madden. They're mouthing off as always. They try and make a splash, and they have with Rendon, no question about that. There's no point in saying otherwise. But they've made splashes before, They re-signed Trout to the big contract. They put in Pujols years ago. They traded for Justin Upton and then re-upped him with a contract, and he's been injured a lot. They brought in Shohei Ohtani. Everyone was banging on about, the Angels got Shohei Ohtani. Well, yeah, I mean, he's a big talent, no question, but his injuries and things like that have definitely hurt him. So, it's the way of things for the A's and the Angels that the media loves the Angels, and they're always going to bang on about them. Joe Madden there in particular. It'll come to the end of the off-season, everyone talk about, what a great off-season the Angels have had, blah, 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 and then we'll finish miles ahead of them again. Fingers crossed anyway, but that's the plan. And but it does it really puts into sharp focus the challenge that the A's have got in trying to compete against some of these teams, because they're just loading up, and what the A's doing to try and build on 297 win campaigns, pretty much nothing. And that's going to be a focus of another topic, probably in the next live stream when I get around to it. I've written a little song not in honor of John Fisher, our owner, but about our owner, called Where's Fisher? So I wrote it yesterday. I haven't had a chance to record it, so I'll record it this weekend, and then that's something to look forward to on another live stream. But there we go. So the Yankees have added Gerrit Cole. The Angels have added Anthony Rendon. Where does that leave us against our competitors? Well, just having a look at that then. So looking at the details, I mean, I guess the first thing I would say about it is that you've got to look at the Rangers. So everyone expected that the Rangers would be hard after Rendon. And I think they probably were, by all accounts. Let's see if I can get something coming up on the chat. Coming up. It's actually working at last. Very well done. Very well done. So yeah, and it's saying it's on. That's a bit usual. There we go. So maybe it's working on YouTube after all. Who knows? Drop in a comment if you're about and see if you can make a comment too. But yeah, so the Rangers with their new ballpark this year, not that they needed a new ballpark. That's yet another big frustration for us. The Braves didn't need a new ballpark, and they've quickly got one. The Rangers didn't need a new ballpark. They've quickly got one. Where's our new ballpark? We need one. Where's ours? Very frustrating. But yeah, so the Rangers in the first year of the new ballpark, they went after Rendon. They were out on him. There's some talk now that they're trying to go after Josh Donaldson, which would be a bit of a blow to see JD with them. Recent comments today have said it's maybe getting a bit too rich for them, and they may be out of it, but you never know. The same thing with the Angels. They really feel they have to do something. They're probably going to push and go over the line and basically pay too much to get someone who they perhaps don't really need. But yeah, hopefully they do, because that's good news for us. So for the Rangers, they're still going to do something, you would suspect. But the Astros, having lost Gerrit Cole, it's interesting talking. You hear a lot of talk about the Astros this offseason that they're trying to pare back the payroll a bit. There's even some talk about them trying to trade Carlos Correa, which I know Jeff Luhnow has now come out and said, no, that's not going to happen. But it's interesting that that's the way they're looking. George Springer is a free agent at the end of the season, isn't he? And yeah, maybe the juggernaut that is the Houston Astros isn't quite a juggernaut for much longer that people think it might be. So we'll see. Fingers crossed from our point of view, obviously. But having a look at the competition. And this was really where I was kind of trying to work out what sort of a challenge we've got in terms of the A's trying to compete against these teams. So let me try and bring it up. Here we go. So yeah, trying to chat on Periscope. It doesn't. I don't know. It's easy to get on. So yeah, if you're looking at the payrolls, so the A's currently are looking at being something like 95 million for the 26-man payroll next year, which sounds a lot of money, but in major leagues it's not. That's going to be one of the lower ones in the whole of the major leagues. Now, if you look at the Angels' top 3 earners for next year, that's going to be Trout, Rendon, and Pujols. So those 3 combined are going to be earning 101.6 million. So their top 3 players are going to be earning more than our entire team, which is lovely. For the Yankees, they're pushing it too. So their top 3 now are Cole, Stanton, and Tanaka. So they're owed 85 million, so pretty much similar to our payroll. The Red Sox top 3, that's Price, Sale, and Betts. So they've looked at potentially trading all 3 of them to try and bring down the payroll, but looks like they're going to be earning about 90 million for their top 3 players. And similar for the Astros. So the Astros top 3 now are Greinke, Verlander, and Altuve. And they're going to be earning 87 million, and that's even accounting for the fact that Arizona are paying 10 million of Greinke's salary in 2020. So yeah, basically our main 4 competitors in the American League are all giving pretty much the same as our payroll, entire payroll, to their top 3 players. So yeah, it's a tough game to win, isn't it? That's all I'm saying. But the A's will have a go as always. And it's interesting actually when you look across to the National League, because it's not quite as big of a gap there. Although Washington are out in front with a 90 million owed to their 3-headed monster of a rotation in terms of Strasburg, Scherzer, and Patrick Corbin. So that's 90.3 million they're owed. Everyone else is kind of more around the 70 million mark at the moment for their top 3 players. So Dodgers, for example, Kershaw, Turner, and Jansen are basically 70 million. Now that may change, as we know the Dodgers are trying to do something, trying to make a trade for Francisco Lindor, for example. Phillies' top 3 are Harper, Wheeler, and Arrieta, who are earning about 69 million in 2020. So it's a bit closer in the National League compared to the American League, but in the American League, the big boys are really spending the money, and yeah, their top 3 players often are going to be earning pretty much the same as our entire 26-man payroll. So tough times for the A's, but there's no point in giving up. The A's are always ready to fight, and I'm sure that's what they're going to do. So we now need to look at the A's ourselves, and what have we got done so far in the winter meetings? Not a lot, but some things worth talking about at least. So the A's news. Now there is a bit of news today, and I know I quickly saw on my laptop. Yeah, I quickly saw on my laptop that we've actually completed the profile signing to, in terms of we traded away Jurickson Profile to the Padres. Yes, here we go. So we'd already got Austin Allen, the young catcher, left-handed catcher. So he came in. The player to be named later for this deal is a guy called Buddy Reed. That's been announced just in the last half hour or so. Minor league outfielder, never heard of him, so I don't really know anything about him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on Buddy Reed. Yeah, 24 years old, starred at Florida in college, according to MLB trade rumors. 48th overall pick in 2016 draft. Plus runner, potential plus defender and center, but he struggled with the bat. So we'll see. He's been at AA in 2019. So we've picked him up as part of the profile trade. So that's something just hot off the press in the winter meetings in San Diego. Also, earlier on today, it's the Rule 5 draft, and we know that the A's have occasionally taken advantage of that, in particular Mark Canha in most recent years. Really good pickup for us there. So we've done a similar thing as we did with Canha, actually. So we basically got the Phillies to use their earlier pick They pick a guy from the Cubs called, I've no idea how you pronounce his first name, Bimiel Machin, something like that. Bimiel Machin. So he's an infielder, more importantly than anything, a left-handed bat, which we know the A's are desperate for. So can play multiple positions in the infield. Mainly played at AA last year, but did play a few games at AAA too. And it's already looking like he may be a potential 26th man on the roster. We know the A's have been looking for a utility player who is also a left-handed bat. And maybe this guy is the answer. We shall see. Never heard of him again, but we'll see what he brings us. We brought in a few kind of more minor league Rule 5 draft picks as well. I think there were 3. And we had one player who was taken away, an outfielder called Mark Payton, who played at AAA last year. He's been picked by the Reds. Didn't really have a place here, so that's the way of things. But yeah, a Rule 5 pick up there, and we'll see if he does make the roster and what we end up doing with him. And it plays in nicely to the main rumours that we've been hearing about the position that we need to look at, which is either second base or alongside that, an infield option, a utility infield option. Now, the most recent rumours around this have been looking at Jed Lowry. So could it be the return of the Jedi number 3? The Mets want to move him on. They signed him to a 2-year, I think it was 21 million deal, I think it was, which didn't work out at all for them. Injured pretty much all of last season. So he's owed about 11 million this year. Now, needless to say, the A's aren't going to take on all 11 million of that, but if potentially the A's could do a deal and maybe get the Mets to pay half of that, so it's kind of like 6 million for the A's, maybe we'll see Jed Lowry back with the team at second base. I think the one issue with that, I would say, is that it looks like Marcus Semien is almost certainly probably going to move on as a free agent at the end of the season. And if you've then brought Jed Lowry back just for one more year, you're going to lose both your shortstop and your second baseman at the end of the 2020 season. That's not an ideal position to be in. But potentially Jed Lowry could be the answer. They've also looked at a few other people. Yesterday, Susan Slusser of the San Francisco Chronicle mentioned Adam Fraser, who is Pittsburgh Pirate. A lefty bat, again, that's a big theme you keep hearing from the A's, lefty bats. He's got 3 years of arbitration left, so under contract for 3 more years. Seems like the A's are potentially in the mix for him, although not a front runner at the moment, but maybe he could be a possible coming in. And another really interesting rumour around this is actually in regards to Chad Pinder. Now, John Heyman, the national journalist, you can call him a journalist, frankly, he's got poor-ass mouthpiece, some would say, he made a tweet in which he said, I think this was on Tuesday, that Chad Pinder is receiving significant trade interest. Susan Slusser backed this up, particularly commenting that the Cleveland Indians have long had an interest in Chad Pinder because such a versatile player, can play the outfield well, can also play infield, can pick up at-bats for you. Now, Susan came back kind of yesterday and said the A's don't really have any intention of trading Pinder. But it's an interesting one when you look at the 26-man roster. And again, that constant refrain of the A's wanting a left-handed bat. Pinder, righty, maybe his usefulness as someone who can play both outfield and infield is slightly lessened when you move to a 26-man rather than 25. So I don't know. I don't think there's much in it, but I don't know. If you could say get someone like, I mean, the obvious one on the free agent market in a minute would be Brock Holt, who again is a kind of utility guy. He can play in multiple positions, but is also a lefty bat. If you could bring him in as a free agent, that would then make Chad Pinder expendable. Maybe you can use Chad Pinder to get someone else. MLB trade rumors are kind of estimating a 2-year, $8 million contract for him. So in terms of Brock Holt, so we'll see how that pans out. Eric Sogard, Nerd Power. Will there be a return of Nerd Power? He's on the free agent market, and again, lefty bat. So maybe he would be a potential to come in. I don't know. I think the key thing, again, as I mentioned in my video that was up on the YouTube channel on Sunday, we've got Franklin Barreto and Jorge Mateo out there. So you do need to think about whether they're going to get on the roster, because if they don't, then we're going to lose them to another team. But we shall see. Another position, that's a perennial position for the A's to try and fill, is catcher. We mentioned earlier Lee Jurickson profile trade to the Padres and getting Austin Allen back. So it is possible that we'll have Sean Murphy and Austin Allen, but they're both 25 years old, both pretty raw when it comes to being major leaguers. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the A's go after a veteran catcher to back up Sean Murphy. The main name being quoted at the moment by Susan Slusser, is Matt Wieters. Now, we were linked to him last offseason, ended up going to the Cardinals, didn't play all that much, didn't play that particularly well when he did. And he's not been particularly good in the last 2 seasons, so that's a bit of a gamble. Is this going to be another Nick Hundley situation, which we don't want, clearly? But he is a switch hitter, so again, come back, left side. And he is a veteran catcher. He's a bigger guy as well, which might help in terms of Sean Murphy. So in terms of kind of passing on his experience of being a bigger guy and being a catcher at the major league level. So maybe we'll see Matt Wieters coming in. As always, it depends what salary he wants and also what role he's looking for at this stage in his career, because Sean Murphy is going to be the primary catcher. But if he's catching, 4 or 5 days a week, Wieters 2 or 1 days a week, maybe that would work. We'll see. I do think it's more than possible that the A's will be trying to pick up a veteran catcher to go alongside Sean Murphy rather than going with Austin Allen. But yeah, we shall see. It would be interesting if they do, but yeah, we shall see. The other news, so Susan Slusser was also chucking in Jason Castro as a potential catcher, although that was a little bit tongue-in-cheek because he obviously has the Stanford link, which everyone... Susan particularly likes going after. Apparently Susan Slusser mentioned that there were rumours that he's already getting 3-year offers, the former Twin. So if that's the case, that would clearly put the A's out for the running. But we'll see. A's definitely seem to be after another catcher. And we've got news on 2 former A's as well, because 2 former A's found new homes yesterday. Both pitchers, Blake Trinan and Tanner Roark. So, with Tanner Roark, that was no surprise. We just brought him in the trade last year with the Reds. Brought him in at the end of last season. It's going to be a free agent. So just a stopgap, really. And sure enough, he's found a contract, 2-year, $24 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. So good for him. He did a decent enough job for us at the end of last season, but was never very likely to feature in our plans for 2020. So he's moved on. But the more interesting one, of course, is Blake Trinan. And that's it's kind of a bizarre situation, really. So Blake Trinan had a season from the gods in 2018 at the back end, or the sharp end, really, of the bullpen. He then fell apart last year, had a really difficult time of things, and it was coming into his final year of arbitration. It looked like he was probably going to get something like $8.5 million, which the A's didn't really want to have to pay him, considering how he'd performed last year. So the A's didn't tender him a contract, did keep in contact with him in the hope that they may be able to sign him back, but no chance of that. He had a lot of suitors going after him, and sure enough, it's the LA Dodgers who have signed him, and they've signed him to a 1-year, $10 million contract. So I'm not sure there's been many a case in recent history where a team has cut a player because they weren't really happy with how much he might get in arbitration, only for that player then to go on a free agent market and get even more money. But that's what Trinan's done. The Dodgers, because they've got such a big payroll, they've got such big pockets, they can afford to take a chance on players like this, as they've done with people like Rich Hill, for example, in the past. But yeah, 1-year, $10 million contract. I really hope for Blake's sake that he does bounce back, because he had such a good season and back in 2018. So it would be good for him. I mean, it sounds like a good deal for him, going to play for the Dodgers, $10 million. He's not doing too badly, we shouldn't feel too sorry for him, basically. But yeah, it's a blow for the A's in terms of, that's a real quality player that ultimately we've had to let go because of financial reasons. And there's only so many more times we can go through that nonsense and not get even more demoralised, frankly. It is the one thing that we probably need to talk about. Rob Manfred, yesterday, in his kind of address to the media, did pick up on the A's situation in terms of the ballpark. I'm not sure quite how to interpret his comments, really. It was kind of, well, I'm glad the lawsuit has been dropped, but they need to get a move on. And again, you can't really blame him. I know there's plenty of blame to go around about the protracted move from the Colosseum, but when you look at the fact that the Braves have got their ballpark, the Rangers have got their ballpark, if everyone involved in this actually wants a new ballpark in Oakland, then at some point they've got to get on and get it done. Not bringing Brexit up in this, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. But it's a similar sort of situation. You know, if you want to get it done, then get it done. And if they're not going to get it done, well, then maybe we have to look, I don't know. We don't even want to think about that, do we? But you do get a feeling that there's starting to be pressure from MLB in terms of trying to get a resolution to all of this. And certainly from an A's fan point of view, that's really what we want. So many years now, 15 years probably, of dragging our feet, constantly having to pay back the payroll, constantly seeing our favourite players traded away, constantly, coming up short, winning 97 games, brilliantly winning 97 games, getting to the wild card, coming up short, and then looking ahead to the next season. And it's like, well, what are we doing to improve our team? And the answer is nothing. Basically, the Angels are going out and buying Rendon. The Yankees are going out and getting Garrett Cole. The Rangers look like they're going to be spending too, and we're doing nothing. Okay? Other than kind of in deck chairs around on the Titanic. And it's annoying as an A's fan, isn't it? It's really, really annoying. But that's where we are. Doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. But that seems to be the main parts of the news so far. I'll have a quick flick onto the onto MLB trade rooms in case something big has just happened. No, still the biggest story today is that the A's have acquired Buddy Reed. Beat the Jerickson profile deal. Let me see anything else. Rangers likely out Josh Donaldson, according to MLB trade rumors. Cardinals reportedly interested in Jin Ryu, former LA Dodger. Tigers nearing a deal with Austin Romine. Yankees have re-signed Brett Gardner. I think everyone expected that to happen, and that has now happened with what's his name, Aaron Hicks, recovering from Tommy John surgery. That made it all the more likely Gardner would come back, and he will. Yankees, Dodgers, Mets reportedly in market for Josh Hader. Flamethrowing Brewers closer. Did the Yankees really need him? And here's a bit of news. The New York Mets have signed Rick Porcello. A 10-year... Not that good. A 1-year, $10 million contract, apparently. So that gives the Mets quite a few options there. And again, looking at Jed Lowry, he's the guy they want to get off the payroll. So maybe bringing in that $10 million there. Maybe they need to get Lowry off the books and he'd come back to the A's. Nice. Yeah, looking around the rumors, nothing much happening really. But there's still plenty of time, isn't there? The MLB trade rumors post about Jed Lowry says the A's aren't the only ALS team interested in Jed Lowry's services, as the Rangers have been in talks with the Mets about a deal that would send both Lowry and Dominic Smith to the Lone Star State. However, talks to this point have failed to progress. Good. The Rangers have traded Nomar Mazara to the White Sox. Seems like that's about it around the world. Yeah, Josh Donaldson, various rumors about him getting a 3 or 4 year contract, about $25 million a year. Good for Josh. Annoying again for us that we gave up on him, traded him away so soon, much sooner than we should have done. Love to get that one back. I know Billy Bean likes blaming David Forst for that one, jokingly. But an interesting one, just going over to the National League 2, all around the Cubs. So the Cubs are in a funny spot really because they've got a lot of money on the payroll, but still need to make some moves, but don't really have the space to do it. And yeah, it's coming out today. MLB trade rumors reporting this that Cubs general manager Jed Hoyer discussed the Anthony Rizzo situation on Sports Talk Live, some sort of Chicago show, radio, TV show. And basically, they were a long way apart in terms of what the Cubs wanted to offer and what Rizzo and his agent were looking for. So talks are off there. And interesting for us because, of course, MLB London Series in 2020 going to be Cardinals, but pretty sure Rizzo will still be with the Cubs then. Will Chris Bryant be with the Cubs at that point? We do not know. Plenty of rumours around him, his grievance with the Cubs in terms of him being held down and his service time issues apparently are going to be resolved very soon. We will see what happens with that. Something that shouldn't really affect the A's at all. I don't think the A's are going to be trading for Chris Bryant. But the one thing I will say about Chris Bryant, you can add Nolan Arenado to it. You can add Anthony Rendon. You see the contract Anthony Rendon got, what was it again? 7 years, $245 million. I mean, Matt Chapman isn't going to get less than that when he becomes a free agent. You're probably talking $275 million by the time he gets to free agency, which thankfully is still 4 years away, I think. But the likelihood that we'll be keeping hold of him is pretty much slim to none. And on that cheery note, that's basically all of the A's news for today. So, thanks for watching if you've been watching live or if you're watching on repeat. As I say, this potentially is also going on YouTube, although I can't see it working anywhere. So, we'll see if we can get that running too. Let's see. Gaming anything? I'll just check. If it's not gone straight onto there, then I can at least upload it. So I'll upload this onto YouTube because the idea is, as I've put over wrong way over there. There we go. I'll be kind of archiving these live streams. And what I have been able to do, so this is kind of a test. I've done a few live streams over the past year, but this is a bit of a test of a more professional look, as you can see. And what I've been able to work out a good way of doing is bringing in other people on a Skype call, sorry. So I can bring in, for example, Dom or Hannah from A's UK, or maybe fans from other teams, fans in Oakland, and yeah, talk about A's news that way. So I can bring other people in, and yeah, hopefully be able to trial that early in the new year. But we'll come to that. I'm not sure when my next live stream will be. It will probably be if there is any A's news. Doesn't seem more likely there will be too much more A's news before Christmas. You never know. Maybe Billy Bean will pull something out of that. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. If you've been watching live or if you've been watching on repeat, we'll be tweeting away on Oakland A UK all over the off season as always. And yeah, I'll tweet up on there when the next live stream will be to give you a heads up on that. And we're on Twitter, Oakland A UK, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And we're available on YouTube too. Now, I don't yet have enough subscribers on YouTube to get Oakland A UK as a custom URL. So if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel yet, please have a look. Click on the subscribe button. All the best people do. And yeah, we'll be able to stick Oakland A UK on there. Okay, thanks again for watching. I'm Matt Smith, and enjoy the rest of your day if you're in Oakland. If you're here in the UK, oh God. An hour and a quarter to go before the elections. I'm not going to stay up and watch it. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning at 5:30 and probably in a pit of misery and despair. Anyway, that's the UK general election coming tomorrow morning, the results of that. Hopefully, the A's will bring us some cheer at some point next year. Because to be honest, it sounds like we're probably going to need it. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I'm Matt Smith. Follow along on Oakland A UK at Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Cheers. See you later. Yeah, we're the Oakland A